Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. G'day, legends. Welcome back to PommyInOz. Well, Carlton fans, it's Heartbreak Hotel again, isn't it? We're just always here. I'm afraid my beloved Blues are 0-3 and we're asking big questions. For the doggies, though, it's happy days. They dig deep again. They find another gear. So let's grab your cuppa. Let's dive straight into this game that was at Marvel Stadium last night. So the game itself, Carlton flew out of the gates quite strong, booting 4 quick goals. Brodie Kemp eventually ended up with 5 goals, and Charlie Curnow had a very strong start and a welcome return to form. But despite holding the Dogs goalless early, Carlton can't shake them second half fadeouts. The Bulldogs were allowed to claw their way back into the contest. Sam Darcy, after being quiet in the first, found some key moments up and down the ground and was a constant menace for the Blues, particularly on transition. Liberatore led that midfield incredibly, and rookie Sam Davidson, the new kid, straight plucked out of VFL, put on a breakout show down the wing. Ex-Blue Matt Kennedy had some crucial blows, kicking 2 goals. Aaron Norton and James O'Donnell sealed the icing on an incredibly tasteless cake for the Blues to seal an epic Bulldogs comeback in which they were behind for 100 minutes of this game, leaving Carlton battered, bruised, and an awful lot of questions at 0-3. Let's break that down quarter by quarter. So Carlton's hot start in the first. Carlton jumped out of the blocks early, relentless pressure, kicking 4 unanswered goals. The Bulldogs really struggled to convert. It was behind central. It was like being at a Victoria's Secret modelling show. There was that many behinds. But they did do very well in the territory battle, and that led us on to the second quarter. The Dogs hit the scoreboard through Kennedy. Others chipped in. They settled the nerves. They started to work into the game. Carlton managed to keep the margin by 3 goals, and this was like 3 lots of 10 minutes almost. You saw the Blues do what they were doing. It didn't quite work. Then you saw the Blues kind of fold. And then the third portion, the final bit of that, you saw the Blues lose short kicks and look to spread it. Curnow and Kemp really benefited from this more patient approach and then going when you had the targets. Then the third came and Darcy began to get on top of Carlton's midfield and he sparked the Bulldogs into life. They clawed their way back, drawing level late in this quarter before Kemp took a clutch goal to restore the lead. But then the fourth, crucial goal from Darcy, put them in front for the first time. Kemp got his 5th, but once they retook the lead, the Dogs went into another gear. Norton and O'Donnell stepped up late, stealing an incredible comeback win. And let's look at them key battlegrounds in that. A breakout game for Davidson stamped his authority on that wing. Relentless running, relentless ball use. 31 touches, 639 metres gained, and they were pivotal for the Dogs being able to push forward at will and break lines. A real emerging star performance. Matty Kennedy, he faced and added some extra spice with this clash. He was instrumental late, dominating in them contested possessions and clearances towards the end, managing to wrestle the momentum firmly in the Bulldogs when the game was on the line. The Darcy-Wheatering battle, not often we see 2 heavyweights of the game going up against. Wheatering was the star early, dominant, stellar defensive display, but Darcy's resilience and timely goals late showcased a young forward growing into a big game performer. Both players had significant impacts, and really it was the players around them that got the result won. Because when you look at Jack Silvani, a defensive masterclass, we talked about it early in the preseason. Silvani there neutralises a player, allowing Wheatering to be a bit more bold. The fact that we didn't win this defensive battle with Wheatering and Silvani both being exemplary says everything. But Jack Silvani's ability to read the play, intercept and disrupt and keep Norton quiet for most of the game gives the Blues a lot of questions. And TDK, another towering performance from the ruckman, won the battle clearly in the ruck, efforts around the ground, 28 touches, 7 clearances. his mobility, his growing influence, his confidence underpinning Carlton's strong early showing, but also underpinning how didn't they win this game. What were the takeaways from this game? Matt Kennedy's midfield role under Luke Beveridge has been a revelation. At Carlton, he was frequently constrained, often relegated to less impactful roles, playing at halfback, in the forward line, limiting himself to specific tasks that help the team, as opposed to fulfilling his obvious potential. Beveridge's adaptability has transformed Kennedy early doors into a real vital midfield figure, highlighting his ball-winning abilities, his clearance expertise, but his canny knack around stoppages to lose men and kick goals. When you think Marcus Bontempelli is sidelined, Kennedy's freedom and assertiveness and that shift into what the doggies do hasn't disrupted their Bulldog dynamic. They're setting an ideal situation up right now for when Bontempelli particularly returns. They are in a fantastic place. His 22 disposals and critical goals in pivotal moments underlined impact versus ball. And this is just the case. Them 22 touches were almost damaging every time. He has gone from a team that values accumulation to a team that values impact. And it's a stark contrast between his roles at Carlton and the Dogs. Number 2, Carlton's defensive woes. Defensive issues remain a glaring issue at this football club, and it's not just in isolation. They are being exposed time and time again. When you've got 2 massive individual performances from Jacob Wheater and Silvani, the fact that Carlton are one of the worst in the league for points conceded per game, from set shots success in the game, it's more troubling this vulnerability appears when Carlton dominates certain areas of the stat sheet. Their system relies heavily at the moment on slow, methodical ball use, which demands perfect structure and perfect execution. When the opponents increase their pressure, like the Bulldogs did after quarter time, going from 150 to just AFL average, Carlton's defenders are often less isolated, having to play one-on-one defence and caught out of position and only have that long kick down the line. And it's not just a back six issue. This is a full defensive ground issue. Their inability to transition defend, their inability to lock the ball inside the opposition's half, give themselves time to reset. It gives the opposition time just to launch counter-attacks almost at will when Carlton turn it over. The amount of times Carlton conceded from stoppage defence was insane because it's just literally Carlton are too reactive at the minute. They're not proactive. They don't hunt the ball. They don't take risks. They sit off at times and allow teams to dictate terms. And against the Bulldogs, despite strong individual showings from Silvani and Wheater, Carlton looks scrambled when the Dogs up the tempo. And that's the same as the Hawks, and that's the same as the Richmond. And then we can go even further back, even St Kilda in the 4th, when we played them last year. Until this system becomes less passive and less focused just purely on pressure and more structural based, this side will continue to hemorrhage goals and will be vulnerable, sitting ducks to momentum swings. Number 3, Sam Davidson's breakout game, showing Carlton really how you use spread. This is exactly what's missing from Carlton's wingman. Under Beveridge, Davidson's role was just expertly designed to utilise his natural strengths: relentless running, line-breaking agility, and quality ball use out in space. The attacking freedom that allows him to have plus 20 uncontested possessions, collecting 31 touches, 10 marks, and 639 metres gained, illustrates his influence from the hard work his insiders do. In sharp contrast, Carlton use their wingers in a cautious, restrictive approach, often going into that defensive wingman role, forcing players to be overly defensive, limiting their instinctive attacking flair. Davidson wasn't just effective statistically. Visibly, he was changing the momentum of the game. His surges forward, his constant ability to keep width, allowed the midfield, when it won the hard ball, to have an outlet that calmed the game down and got it on their terms. Carlton really have a massive stark contrast in their tactical philosophies when you watch us play wingmen. The wingmen rarely venture forward. They rarely take risks. It's the effectiveness and the predictability of left and right wing versus Davidson's willingness to be allowed to back himself and play to his strengths and expose opposition zones is a massive flaw in Carlton's strategy. Too safe, too rigid, too overly structured, and ultimately so easy to counter. Carlton's coaching staff really need to watch Davidson, D'Ambrosio last week, just how easy it is when you focus on your players' natural attributes rather than having this preordained method of what a winger should look like in your system, because you haven't got good formation and strategy of what you do when you win the ball. A tactical refling of the Blues at the minute is absolutely potential to surge this list, because at the moment they are sitting ducks. Carlton's second half slump crisis is at number 4. Carlton's inability to sustain performance after half-time isn't just frightening, it's becoming habitual. It's now defining the weakness and no one is owning it. Voss keeps saying we won the games out. Well, he almost looked like he was going to cry when he said that it's up to him to stop it. While they've built solid leads in the first half, sitting at plus 48 points combined over 3 games, the second half numbers are diabolical. Negative 89 points differential in second halves. They were hammered 57-19 in the second half by the Tigers, 45-20 by Hawthorn, 54-28 in this game. A key factor is the game itself. Carlton's ball movement is methodical, slow, overly structured, and very predictable, leaving long bombs, creating repeat contests around the ground. It's labour-intensive, requiring constant battlegrounds to be presented, and precision in and around these areas, putting way too much onus on Carlton's lack of quality ball users. This high physical output in the third was shown. They went quite easy in the first with no pressure. In the third, if we had 50% left in the energy bar, it was almost at max, because once the teams lift the pressure, they know Carlton are going to play stoppage, repeat football. Carlton's energy reserves are cooked, leaving them reactive. And again, this is it. They need to be proactive. The system simply isn't built to survive 4 quarters unless everything goes according to script. Fitness and conditioning has to be questioned, because this game plan is probably why we have so many injuries. Carlton looks spent at the third week. They're not fit enough, and I don't think anyone can be fit enough to play this style. Add to that the lack of on-field composure, the fact that the system breaks down at the first sign of trouble, and no sense of adjusting the strategy until late in the game. The fact Carlton couldn't get their best players on for the third week in a row with 10 minutes to go just shows the lack of preparation and the lack of attention to detail. We're growing impatient, particularly because these second half drop-offs stretch back way back when. We're talking Bolton era we saw this, and there's no sign again that they have been properly fixed. And number 5, Carlton's game management. Carlton's game management isn't pretty on paper, and it isn't pretty in reality. Under zero pressure 150, it looked okay. Once the pressure comes, it becomes ugly to watch. The Blues pride themselves on this pressure and contest. When the pressure and contest comes the other way, we don't see the short kicking, the slow, deliberate ball movement, the ability to spread a zone when we saw Zach Williams run through. It's clinical against, and suddenly it's clinical, it folds down. The Dogs showed it doesn't hold up under fire. The Richmond showed it didn't hold up under fire. Hawks did. Once they lifted their pressure axe late in the second to above AFL standards, just above, Carlton's composure evaporated. Kicking stalled, lateral switches became aimless, forward 50s were long bombs to outnumbered contests. The kicking started to go that way as well. The inability to shift gears is alarming. They have no plan B when an opposition team presses, and it exposes the lack of ingenuity, the lack of freedom, no overlap run, the disconnect between the midfield and forwards, the over-reliance on contested ball, the under-reliance on uncontested ball to control tempos. Once it goes uncontested, it just goes straight back into a contested situation. And the Dogs simply shortened the ground. They pushed up higher, clogged the corridor, and waited for the Blues to cough it up. And the Blues did it. He keeps talking, Voss, about winning in metrics, clearances, inside 50s disposals, but they are hollow without scoreboard pressure and without results. Carlton spends as much energy glossing over the results as they do just trying to cling on to a game, working the ball up the field and not capitalising. It's the style of football that burns fuel with minimum payoff and restricts talented footballers in their draft year, like Ollie Hollands, Lockie Cowan, players like that, to really look mundane and monotonous. And when you take away their skills, they are bang average footballers because they got drafted because they were above average in certain facets of the game. Until the Blues shift their mindset from we have a set way of playing for every position that isn't player first, it's system first. When the system is shocking, cosmetically the Blues are only going to be able to beat up a team and hope the scoreboard reflects what they're doing. It's hard work, it's falling short time and time again, and we've just seen Matt Kennedy be allowed to play to his strengths and absolutely turn a game. It is all there for the Blues. What next? Carlton head to one of the biggest pressure cookers in football, a blockbuster clash with the Magpies. Desperate for a response, can't be 0-4. A win over the old enemy is anything but a must in this game. The questions will swirl though. Second half fade outs, defensive structure, incohesion, no mid-forward connection against a team that thrives on asking you questions. All eyes are on Vossi, all eyes are on Carlton. Meanwhile, the Doggies have a trip to Fremantle and they do with some growing confidence. Still no Bont, no Trelaw, but they have flexibility and adaptability and they are flying high. Freo at Optus is no easy task, but with momentum building, players like Kennedy, Darcy and Davidson in form, they'll want to get themselves rolling. A bonus question as well for you in chat. What would you rather? Would you rather have it in your team now, a Brodie Kemp with 5 goals, unexpected, or a Sam Darcy who is big moments clutch? Kemp's breakout as a forward was unexpectedly brilliant in this game, but Darcy showed physicality and the ability to work up. What would you rather have? A flash in the pan 5 goals, or would you rather have Sam Darcy who finds ways to impact even when he's not kicking goals? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you smash that like button. Please subscribe. We're well on our way to 8K. That would be grouse if we could hit that way before the bye. And don't forget to jump live tonight. I'll be here for Hawthorn versus GWS. So jump in chat. Let's have some chats. Can't wait to see your hot takes. And just join the footy family. That's what we're trying to create here. Just a Pom here giving his humble opinion about footy and just enjoying it with fellow brothers and sisters. So don't forget we're live for that. Jump into the chat. See you legends soon. Stay safe. Stay always classy. And up the football. Ta-ra.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.